So, as you know, we're launching another order by the inimitable Judith Copithorne, who's here tonight. This collection brings together 50 years of her practice, which comprises various forms of boundary-pushing writing. As was mentioned, I had the real true honor and privilege of editing the collection, and I want to underscore how much of a pleasure it has been to work with Judith. We've been spending a lot of time on the phone over the last 2 years talking about how we wanted the book to look, how we wanted it to come together, and I'm really, really quite pleased with how it looks, and I hope you enjoy it. When you pick up a copy. Judith, I wanted to say publicly, too, since we're here on stage together, that I was really honored that you trusted me with the task of bringing together this collection. Your work is so important, it's so influential, and I wanted to thank you for sharing your vision with all of us. Truly, and I'm glad to have played my small part in that. I also wanted to say thank you to the team at Talon for making a home for this book. Kevin, Vicky, Katrina, Les, Aaron, Spencer, and everyone else. I couldn't imagine a better team to work with to bring this book into the world. In the background, I think if it's running, Spencer, I think Spencer's going to get the slides running. You're going to get a little taste of what's in the collection. So we have a slideshow with some of Judith's work. So you get a little taste, but there's lots, as you can tell, it's quite a thick book, so there's lots more than what you'll see on the slides here tonight. So I'm going to read just a couple paragraphs from the introduction, just the first few pages, so you can get kind of a taste of what the book is about. That'll provide us with a little bit of a frame for the book, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to Judith, and she's going to read a couple of poems for you this evening and bring the work into the room. Thanks for being here. This is a really, really lovely room, really lovely crowd. So the intro begins with an epigraph from Judith's poem called Affirmative Poem. Words will rush to us like a river of stars. The form will form us, and formed we will form. Another order, Selected Works, brings together a robust selection of Judith Copithorne's writing and hybrid publications drawn from over 50 years of her practice. Alongside selections of recent digital-born visual poetry representative of her ongoing aesthetic transformations, it collects her early poem drawings and hybrid texts, collections of stanzaic poetry, sequenced short fiction, personal essays, and more that have been entrusted to small presses and privately published in limited edition runs, many of which are long out of print. As an extensive collection of her publications, another order represents what Lorna Brown describes as Copithorne's embodied approach to text that maintains resolute physicality and immersive concentration, fully open to new influences and challenges, whether the text is written, drawn, typed, or digitally created. When reflecting on the importance of the writer's openness to media and aesthetic experimentation, Judith confesses that writing is most interesting to her. This is something that you've said, Judith, when it is surprising, unexpected, and outside the bounds. And I think being outside the bounds is an apt description of Judith's artistic practice, since it stridently resists categorization and shatters the conventions that often make genre, media, and mode recognizable to readers. Throughout her life and work, Copithorne has consistently sought to manifest another order for writing and art-making that opens expressive possibilities for herself and the broader literary culture. Describing the versatility of her technical prowess in 2 words, Judith said to me that she identifies as an intermedia worker, an identity that nods to intermedia, a term often used in the 1960s and 1970s, offered by Fluxus artist Dick Higgins, to describe what might also be approximately referred to as interdisciplinary or cross-media work. For Higgins, however, the term describes practices that are between media, that draw multiple disparate mediums into a singular context. Thus, intermedia artistic practices are tantamount to alchemy, involving undertakings of transformation, movement, and combination across the arts. Judith's writing embodies these principles and dynamically moves between illustration, sketching, calligraphy, and typewriting, while bringing together poetry, visual art, comics, life writing, and more to provide evidence that her tireless fusing of technique, mode, and genre locates her among the vanguard of her time. The title intermedia worker also characterizes Judith's position within Vancouver's creative community and her commitment to the proliferation of artistic practices while supporting the work of other women. Carol Itter has described Judith as one of the astounding young women of Vancouver's scene who insisted that their statements be heard and that they could be artists. In the heyday of the counterculture movement, Judith contributed to Vancouver's artist-run venues, the Sound Gallery and Motion Studio, where she danced as part of Helen Goodwin's Theco Group. And she was an active member of Intermedia, an artist-run space dedicated to the collaborative exploration of emergent media. She contributed to these vital hubs as an artist, writer, and dancer, and at times also helped with the maintenance of these spaces, sanding floors, filling holes, painting walls, and contributing to event and exhibition planning. Painter Greg Simpson recalls that during the 1960s and 70s, Judith, like her colleague Maxine Gadd, broke the grip of paternalistic elites and opened the door for later poets like Mona Fertig and others to continue the movement towards greater inclusion in the local scene, including being the driving force behind many small press publications and readings. Judith is a vital inspiration for writers and artists of many identities today. The publication of Another Order marks an overdue return to Copithorne's writing and art. In Judith, Women Making Visual Poetry, an anthology that celebrates Judith with its title, poet Amanda Earle remarks that when few women were being recognized for anything, and especially not for their visual poetry, Judith was paving the way for me and other women. Another Order is an opportunity for readers to return and to survey the passage that Judith opened and enjoy her many contributions to a diversity of expressive forms. Returning is also a word central to her life and lexicon. Beginning in 1965, she uses it as the moniker for her small press that sporadically issues exquisitely designed chapbooks and pamphlets. This notion of returning to Judith's body of work is particularly momentous, since Returning is also the name of her small press magazine, which featured the work of other writers and artists such as Daphne Marlatt, Bill Bissett, George Bowering, B.P. Nicol, Mona Fertig, Maxine Gadd, Carol Itter, Gladys Hindmarch, and many others. In one sense, writing and art have been constants in Judith's life. They are practices to which, following the patterns of moon cycles, tides, and seasonal transitions that prominently feature in her work, she's always returned to these. However, Returning also identifies her desire to give back to the communities, to return work marked by her spirited generosity and her singular vision. And now I'm going to turn it over to Judith to return to some of these earlier poems and should bring them into the room this evening.
I do clap. Do what I want. Right. Yeah. Your hands are very cold.
No, sorry.
Maybe you should go and sit down. I don't know how. Okay. Let me see. Extremely organized. Luckily, there's extremely organized people around me because I seem to be very disorganized. So we have, I'm going to read up to 5 minutes worth. I hope I don't read too much or too little. I guess you could always, there is the one thing that you can do, you can clap at a certain point. Okay, so this is the first one. It's on page 72. Cat, Jasmine curled in my lap, and there's a little drawing of her. Outside, so much snow, cinnamon incense burning, instant fatal flaws, some, no all balance out. If I hit upon you with a great rock, or a rose, it is the same thing, the rose she told him. Alex outside, scraping walks again. What was your name before you were born? We keep trying to be human. Erotic fantasies, sitting in the graveyard at night. Alienation or isolation. The lines become clearer these days. Ginseng tea heating on my gurney gas heater. a golden seed, a jade palace, a heart, and thunderbolts. Quiet, no snowbound days, some breaths pure, and then the fear of God. Who hears when your name is called? January 17th. I didn't put the date on the one before. There you go again, hooked on love, in love with love, as they say. What's poetry or song? The breath of someone you cannot quite see. Good, evil, turning. Changes must be accommodated. Oh, the subtleties with precognition of clarity, passion, to come to a middle way. Energy of brain on heart, of guilt, of gut, of cunt, of legs crossed tightly, bringing it together without thought or rationality. We know what you are saying and welcome, but only so long as you keep on playing. Use it is irrelevant to the flame. On an altar of gold, transmission from the whole globe. Hello. I don't have a watch.
You're good for another.
Beg pardon?
You're good for another.
I can't hear you.
Read another.
We'll do it together?
No.
Read another.
Oh, I'm going to read more, but could anybody let me know when it turns 5 minutes? Okay. Now, what else?
You got them marked up here. You got them marked up here.
I don't really...
This one.
Okay. 72, 73, and page 135, 136. Okay. Is it necessary? The Holocaust consumes the signature. The eye sees. And blood poured down the color of roses in the evening light. Run all your life from violence, and someday chaos collides. The night is coming. We go down mentally, metal exploding in guts, to the smell of excrement. No wisdom can describe our eventual death. Oh, they come to us with love and found hate, fearful greed, defoliation, mass slaughter, poisoned skies, bodies charged beyond recognition, a never opened mind. Where could we ever go to hide? And I guess you can't probably see them, but there's pictures with the words. Anyway, so... I'll do it. But what time is it? How much time do I have?
You got one more minute.
What?
You got another minute.
One more?
Yeah.
Market. And this is from right around the corner where I lived on, God, I can't even remember the road, street I live on. Pender. No, I lived on Pender and this street, but there was another one below Pender, which you would all know. And that's where this little place was. The store around the corner has gone. Just went by yesterday, and there it was. Less fruit than before, but still there. And now today, it's gone with only the cases to remind you of it. Actually, it's not much different than it was before, with just a little bit barer, some of the color gone, and the old man with the open-worked skull cap, his wife crocheted for him, and his big bony wife who smiled her gold-toothed smile at you each time you came in. Gradually, it was change in the quantity of each thing as it got older and sat on the shelf for longer each time. Washing soda is something hard to get, and they carried that, and bok choy, washing soda, was the only thing I bought there recently, as a matter of fact. Okay. How much time have I been reading for? Thank you.